Hey everybody, Luke here. And before we film today's artist profile video, I wanted to take a quick minute to give a huge shout out and just say thanks to our sponsor today, which is Mary Brown's Glovertown. Now, Mary Brown's has their saying for a reason, famous chicken and taters. That is because their chicken and taters are absolutely fantastic. However, honestly, I like everything else on the menu. Like if I had to pick a top three, hands down has to be the Big Mary chicken poppins, and everybody loves the taters, but I am honestly team fries. Like their poutine with fries is absolutely phenomenal. And I mean, if you haven't had any of those menu items, I highly recommend them. I mean, absolutely go check them out. But yeah, no, on behalf of everybody at the Diamond House, thank you, Mary Brown's Overtown, for sponsoring this video. Without your sponsorships, these videos would not be possible. And overall, just thank you so much. We're in such a unprecedented time, especially being in level 5 lockdown, and for you to, donate to make these videos possible are absolutely fantastic. And once again, thank you. And without further ado, let's get right into this video, shall we? Hey everybody, Luke here, and I'm currently joined by Cory Babstock, also known as Old Bones Photography. And how are you doing today, Cory?
Doing fine. Luke, how are you?
I'm doing great. 2 weeks in the lockdown, but I mean it is what it is. So
It is
enjoying
what
working
it
from
is, yeah.
home. How have you found it? Being at home for these past 2 weeks, not being able to do much.
It's actually worked out quite well. Well, I'm solitary anyway, being a photographer. I'm out on my own anyway.
Okay.
Um, so it's worked out quite well for me. I get to go out and I get to visit all the places I would regularly visit, which are all outside anyway. And the upside is, and what a lot of people like, is that I've been sharing those images with people who can't get out. And I think it gives people a little bit of relief from looking at the same four walls all the time to see images that they can't get out and see themselves. So now
That's Oh, continue, sorry.
it's Tuesday.
Okay.
I
So
just call it another day.
yeah, so you're still obviously going outside then and doing photography work then, are you?
Yep, I am. Yep.
Okay, so how often do you usually go out in a week? Like say once or twice or
Uh, 3 to 4 times normally,
okay.
and I usually try to stick pretty close to the Bonavista Peninsula, Glovertown, Terranova area.
Okay.
Hoping to change that this summer. I have plans to go across the island and visit a lot of places that.
Could you repeat that? Sorry, you cut out a bit there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I plan this summer to go out and visit. Hopefully, if we're allowed, to go out and
Yeah.
visit a lot of the towns and places that I've been told about that I haven't had a chance to visit myself yet. So pretty excited about that.
Okay, so that's kind of what you have up and planned for the rest of 2021 there, right? You're gonna go across the province and hopefully get a couple of photos or
A couple of thousand, hopefully.
nice. I was looking at
I
I
think.
was
I
on your
think.
website there. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yep.
I was just saying
No,
like
no.
I
You
was
you go ahead. That's good.
Correct. I was looking on your website there, and it looks like a lot of your photos, they're brilliantly done, by the way, of nature, landscapes, and all
Yep.
that. Like I've seen a couple ones of puffins and like of the bay, of historic towns in Newfoundland. Is that kind of what you focus your photography work on, or is that like what you mainly do, or?
So what I try to do and what I really try to do is, be that with the puffins, like you said, which we're well known for, or well-known geographical places. Um, my primary focus and what I started with and what I really want to focus on are I don't know if you noticed it on my page or not. I like taking photos of abandoned places.
Yeah, I did
Um,
notice that a nice bit, and they're that places I had never even seen or heard of, right? So it's nice
right.
to see all that. You get that old historic Newfoundland vibe from the photos, and I really like them.
Yeah, it is important to tell those about what happened to this place that it became abandoned. I've been in places where there are still plates sitting on a table and the roof is collapsed.
Oh, really?
So there's a story there, right? There's something going on. Like, why did that happen that way? And I
Yeah, no,
find
you
that
think.
fascinating and intriguing. And it's also a little bit of a commentary on where we are as Newfoundlanders, with so many people leaving and not coming back. And
Yeah,
I think I try to convey that in those photographs too. That there's a there's a Uh, might be a romantic tragedy, I don't know, but anyway, I like to try to convey that kind of emotion in those photographs as well. And that's what I really like photographing, are those places and those things like broken down boats, broken down wharves, abandoned houses. That's where my real passion lies.
Okay, so like where do you find these communities too? Like I have no sweet clue like where any of these places are. Like how do you kind of, find these places, and are there any ones that you haven't been to yet that you're hopefully trying to get to now in the up and coming months, assuming everything
No,
gets better, or
oh, absolutely. A lot of it is just from word of mouth. Like when I post a photo of, say, a house that I photographed in a town called Open Hall, um, beautiful little town on the Bonavista Vista Peninsula, not a lot of people know about. But I posted a photo from there and said, "Oh, you got to go to this place, or you got to go to this place, or I know there's a house in such and such a place." Everybody has a connection to these places, and they want to tell you, and they want you to go and shoot. What out of the resettled communities, the islands, and just get the pictures of the foundations and things that are left on those places. It was a big upheaval in the 60s, of course, getting everybody off those islands.
yeah.
And in a lot of those places, everything's almost gone. And, I'd like to get there and at least preserve digitally what I can while it's still there.
Okay. So you kind of trying to archive what used to be of Newfoundland essentially.
Yeah, well, you think about, like, I have two kids, one's 17, one's 13, houses on a street with vinyl siding 2 feet apart from each other. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? So I like to try to preserve what I can and share it so that they have a sense of where we came from. I think too often as Newfoundlanders, we try to forget the past, almost as if we're embarrassed about how poor we were or about, you know, where we came from. And I think that's the wrong idea. I think we need to preserve, and I think we need to celebrate. And I think, that's what I try to do in my photography.
Okay, is that kind of where I was curious about your name, Old Bones? Is that kind of where that comes from? You're trying to capture, the old history of Newfoundland. I was really curious. So, where does the name Old Bones come from? And
So it's a kind of a little double meaning to Old Bones. I used to work in retail management. I was a store manager, but I broke my back 3 years ago,
okay,
and I had two spinal surgeries. So unfortunately, I'm at a point where I got to pick and choose the work I do, and I'm feeling my old bones because of that. And well, with the theme of the abandoned places and the things that are broken down, I kind of I joked to somebody one time that all these old houses and boats and wharfs that I'm taking photos of are in a way self-portraits. They're something that used to be useful, I would say, and I'm not useful now, but something that was vibrant and healthy and useful and very much on the go. And then all of a sudden, nope, is broken down. It still has a beauty to it, has a dignity to it, but it's not what it was meant to be. So kind of in that way, kind of a little bit of self-exploration.
oh wow, okay, that's I never would have guessed that honestly. To be okay, but when did you like kind of when did you start getting into photography? Like when did you kind of realize this is something that you liked doing and
Yeah, so I actually have a Bachelor of Fine Arts from Nova Scotia College of Art and Design.
okay.
Graduated from there way back in '93, and immediately went to work in something that wasn't art related. People who have arts degrees, unfortunately, the job market is not fantastic. So throughout it all, though, I kept an interest up in it, and I did a lot of hiking and a lot of like cell phone photography and things of that nature. And it was about 3 years ago, I took my first picture of a broken down old boat, and it came out really well on my cell phone. And I said to my wife, I said, I think I could make a go of this. It'd be nice to get back into the arts, and this is something that'll get me out exploring. And I went to an old beaten up secondhand digital camera to a brand new camera to where I am now.
Okay. Interesting. Everyone starts at different times, and to take a photo of your iPhone and then realize you were good at that, that's pretty amazing. I
Yeah,
usually take photos with my phone, and like back when I was younger, I had one of those, like my sister had, like, those little Polaroids you used to take photos with.
I love those
And
actually.
Yeah, like I think they're the Fujifax minis, and like I took a
Yeah.
photo of her on a beach in Cuba, and she was like, "This turned out horrible." So that's kind of when I realized, photography is probably not for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I was also speaking of taking photos of people. I was also looking on your website, and I did see your client showcase, and like I obviously know you probably
Yep.
aren't doing client photos right now because of everything that's been on the go, and
That's
there's not
right.
really many events to take photos of. But is that something that you are continuing with now once things hopefully get better, or?
Yeah. In a different way. I don't consider myself a portrait photographer or a wedding photographer, that kind of thing. I do enjoy working with people. I really enjoy working with couples, them to open up and to show a little bit of the emotion that they share between each other, and put them in environments that aren't in the studio. Like take them and put them in places where I would go and photograph anyway. And I really, really do enjoy that, and I'll continue to do that on a selected basis. But it's not something that I'm drawn to as a photographer. Really, is there's a certain amount of patience that you need to be a, a portrait photographer
I'd imagine, yeah.
and a wedding photographer. I don't think I'm really built to be. I like smaller interactions, right? And that's where and intimate interactions. That's where I find my joy, and
Okay.
so I'll continue to do that. One thing funny you mention it is that this summer I was actually planning on launching a photo tour business here in Newfoundland, particularly in the Bonavista Vista Peninsula, where I take people of different skill levels. You could be a newbie like yourself who just takes cell phone photos, or another
Yeah.
professional, and go visit the places that I visit and share typically a little bit the cultural background, and just have little, I call them boat tours on land, where we would go and visit all these places and do photographs and share a little bit of information, and a back and forth kind of thing. Fortunately, with COVID, I don't think that's going to happen this summer. But I'm hoping to do some video tours in place of that, where I go out, I have my GoPro, and I share what it would do if I had you with me, and make those available to people as well. So
That's a really good idea. I mean, hopefully things do open up a bit so you could even take like, smaller
it's
groups. But I mean, doing it virtually too, it's fantastic for people who, might be
it,
working 9 to 5
it
and
would
they
be it would
have
be
time to get out, right?
Yeah, and the nice thing is that each tour would be customized to each person. Like if you only had 2 hours to spend out there, then fine, we do a 2 hour tour. If you were down there for 2 or 3 days and you want to do a more detailed thing, we can make that work too, right? So it's something that's not offered here, and I know Bonavista now has the Discovery Geopark, which is a new designation, and it's kind of a big interest in that area. So I think it'll work once we open up the doors and let people start coming back in.
Yeah. Well,
I'm excited about it. I'm very excited about it, the opportunity. So.
hopefully that does get on the go. I mean, summertime is the time you want to be out. So hopefully things do get better. And I mean, they look a little bit better, but it's hard to say really. Who would have predicted a second wave? So
Well, I mean, I'm out there anyway. Like I'm out there
yeah,
3 or 4 times a week anyway. So it's just basically taking somebody with me, and
exactly.
and you were saying all these small towns that you had no idea existed. Taking people out and showing those places to those people, because there are a lot of hidden treasures out there that people just don't know.
Yeah, no, especially, you drive on, we have all these secondary roads that lead different
Yep.
places. You can go up one, you find these places you never even think of, right? So,
And that's what I try to do. My poor 2016 Elantra is taking a beating, but every little side road or small place I can turn off. Say, well, I've not been there before. I find myself looking when I'm driving for the remains of driveways that may be grown in, and I found a few treasures that way, where I just pulled over and walked in to what was the remains of a driveway and found a house that was
yeah,
fallen down.
I did see a couple of photos like that, and unfortunately, most of the roads going into rural Newfoundland, they're not exactly high standard. So, any vehicle you're going to take in there is going to take a beating unless it's,
Yep.
that. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, thank you for your time. I really appreciate you coming on
Yeah.
here.
No problem.
And I'll put all your information, your website, your social media down in the information below. Is there down in the
Sounds
description
good.
of this video? Is there anything you wanted to say before we end this interview, or?
No, just thanks for the opportunity. I think what you guys are doing out there at the Diamond House is very important, and I think showcasing local artists like myself and like Randy and others. Really, really good. And anything I can do to promote you guys, I will do so as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Cory. I appreciate you coming on here.
Yep, no problem. All the best. Thanks for the opportunity.
All right. Bye.